Okay, so I don't like the Ancient Magus Bride. Like, it's fine if you're one of the 50,000 some people on Mal that like it, it's just not my thing. It's fine if you like a show that I don't particularly care for. And anyway, I'm not here today to comment on the quality of the shot composition, writing, or animation of the show or anything, even though some criticism is probably due after the fact that this show has basically only been lavished with unending praise, at least here on YouTube. No, today I just want to talk about the single thing about this show that annoys me the most. It's OPs. So I was slowly catching up on this show after the first cour wrapped up, so it took me until about a couple days ago to get to the part where they swap out Here by Juna for You by Main, and I have to say, I was so profoundly disappointed by this new OP that I stopped watching the episode and skipped to the next one to see if they changed it to some other kind of footage. And no, they don't. They don't change it. That's just how the second OP is supposed to look like. You by Main, aside from being an infinitely worse song than Here by Juna, though that's a whole other can of worms about the nature of subjectivity in music criticism, is probably one of the most disappointing anime openings I've ever seen. You by Main is literally just an AMV. Now, I know that AMVs are somewhat of an art form on their own, and that a lot of the more polished AMVs out there are way too editing intensive for me to even do. However, this professionally made anime OP is to the point where I could even make the exact opening in iMovie. In fact, I'll do it right now. Sure, they may look different, but I challenge you to tell me which one is the official one and which one is the one that I made. Even though it bothers me in the first OP that they also use clips from the show, I can kind of see why. It can serve to hook us in as the audience by giving us a taste of what is to come. When I watched the OP for the first time and saw Elias turning into this big scary monster thing, I wanted to know why and how he became like that in the show. I get it, its purpose seems logical enough, even if it does still seem a bit lazy to me. But to have the second OP be what is essentially just a recap of the first part of the show just makes no sense to me. Sure, you can attempt to justify this as having artistic integrity by saying that this was purposefully done to encapsulate all of the high points of the series to serve as a kind of celebration of the story that had come before. It's fine if you believe that, but if you want to see an OP that I consider a good celebration of its own series, go watch all of K-On! And then watch the third OP of K-On! Back. But I digress. What I find to be way more likely is that Wit Studio just screwed up somewhere along the production cycle, and that's just how the OP ended up coming out. The director, Norihiro Naganuma, has 4 other directing credits to his name, one of them being the original Ancient Magus Bride OVA, 2 of which are franchise movies, and the third is a 22-minute special called Hyokoi. Basically, this is the first full-length TV anime he's ever directed, so it wouldn't be too hard to imagine that his lack of experience caused him to screw up somehow. Plus, this is Wit Studio, the same studio that legit took to Twitter to find animators to help finish Attack on Titan. So the screw up on a production level by fault of the animation studio as a whole also really doesn't seem like too unlikely of a possibility. But here's the question that got me thinking. Why did they even choose to use these clips in the first OP? Let me rephrase that. Why did they choose to use clips from the show at all? Why didn't they just make original footage for their OP like 99% of other anime? See, this question is much harder to answer than if it were directed towards the second OP, for by all intents and purposes, Wit Studio shouldn't have even had these clips in the first place. Generally speaking, TV anime production, unless you're Kyoto Animation with Netflix on your production committee, runs down to the wire. Just look at the difference between the TV and Crunchyroll broadcasts of Yuri on Ice. The big final eye catch of Chisei as a phoenix in the OP doesn't show up in the show proper until episode 12, so how in the world did they have that done by the time that episode 1 was ready to air? Episode 1 did air all the way back during Anime Expo after all, so hear me out. First, let's assume that my assumption that the production cycle of Magus Bride is more akin to Yuri on Ice than it is to Violet Evergarden is true. So, an explanation for their possession of these magical future clips is that they were simply clips that were prioritized and finished before their respective episodes were made. Then my question becomes, then why didn't you just not use the exact same clip in the show? Why didn't you just have that be what your OP was, and then storyboard a unique sequence for the actual show so your audience doesn't think that you were being lazy and not putting into work and creating an actually fully realized OP? But, I hear you saying, what if Wit Studio was just super on top of things and had already finished all of the episodes that would contain these eye catches beforehand? Then my question becomes, then why the heck is the second OP so low effort? Why? If you were so on top of your production cycle and so ahead of schedule that you could have stuff in episode 12 appear in episode 1, how could you not have had the time to make an actually decent OP for the second cour? Either way, the implications of these possibilities all point to the idea that the people working on the show were simply trying to do less work. And sure, working in the anime industry is hard, I get it, but the thing is, basically every single other anime production ever has also faced this issue, and has still been able to pull it off. Shows like One Punch Man and Cowboy Bebop that have wonderful OPs while also maintaining very high standards of animation quality, and Soul Eater and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood were able to achieve this while also being relatively long-running series. Thus, by comparison, it kind of feels like the team behind Magus Bride was just kind of flaking out. Now, there is a third possibility, for Wit has another show running this season alongside Magus Bride, and its production cycle could have cut into that of Magus Bride. But determining the validity of this possibility would also take a lot of research, and I don't feel like doing it. If that turns out to be true, I'd be happy to accept that as the reason for this profoundly disappointing OP. But what do you think? Why do you think the second Magus Bride OP is so bad? Or even better yet, did you actually think that this OP was good? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. I do have plenty of other complaints about Magus Bride, and I might make another video on it after it ends, but that would have to come with the caveat that I don't actually drop it before it finishes airing. Thanks for watching, and for those who are wondering, the reason why I call this an Insomnia rant is A, my username, and B, I came up for the idea of this video because I couldn't sleep one night. If you like this kind of rantier type of video, also let me know in the comments, and who knows, I might make this a series. Again, thanks for watching the video, and have a nice— Hey, stop! This channel hit 1,000 subs! Anyway, thanks for all the support that's been going my way, I really appreciate it. I didn't think I'd get this far, but since I hit 1,000 subs, hopefully I'll be getting a new microphone in the future. So look forward to that, maybe. And in case you haven't seen it, or you aren't from there, go check out this collab I did with Pause and Select about Netju no Susume. And anyway, I'm back from hiatus, so hopefully I'll be making videos more consistently again. Anyway, thanks for watching the video, and have a nice day, for real this time.